What's going on, Ross? How you doing?
I am awesome. How are you guys?
Well, I don't think this fan base has ever been more upset after a win. There are a lot of fans out here that say, Kyle Shanahan should have known if he was going to run Trey Lance that much that this was inevitable. What are your thoughts on that?
Don't agree with that at all. There's a lot of quarterbacks out there that run it more than Trey did on Sunday. I mean, he ran the ball 3 times. In the first game, Jalen Hurts, I think, 17? I know Josh Allen was double digits in their first game, so don't agree with that at all. I'm surprised that is the sentiment. I would think people would be praising Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch for having the foresight to keep Jimmy G. I mean, they basically saved the season by renegotiating that contract to keep Jimmy.
All right, I'll give you that one. But here's the thing. If you take – Trey Lance came in last year at halftime of a game against the Seahawks. Then he played 2 full games as a starter. He started week 1. Then the point is he's played 4 full games essentially, and he's got 49 rushes in those 4 games. So they have been using him quite a bit. He's been their leading rusher in a couple games too. So that's why – and Kyle always talks about how, first and foremost, he would like a pocket quarterback. And so I think a lot of fans feel that he was being unfair to Trey Lance by putting him in harm's way so much.
So what I would say, I understand that thought process. What I would say to those fans is that Kyle Shanahan was giving Trey Lance a chance to win and a chance to perform well for the team while he developed into the pocket passing quarterback that Kyle Shanahan would like to have. And, I heard this a lot in Baltimore when they were running the ball with Lamar Jackson all the time that year, and then all he did was go and win the MVP, and they were 14-2 and the number 1 seed when he was running that year. And then nobody complained about it anymore. Everybody just kind of shut their mouth. It's very unfortunate that he got hurt. I would not say it was inevitable. There's too many other examples of quarterbacks running and not getting hurt to say that this was inevitable. I think it's unfortunate. Was there a little bit of an increased risk? Yes, but they felt like that was a risk they were willing to take.
Ross, always a pleasure. I asked Steiny, we were talking about the dynamic of the locker room, and we're not going Maury Povich here to try to make stuff up, but obviously to me, I feel comfortable in saying Jimmy was the better option, and the politics were involved with the pick from Kyle, and Kyle had a guy starting who shouldn't have been. Is there any collateral damage with other players in the locker room for doing that? And I kind of give those players kudos for having Kyle's back, knowing that he might not have been the best option.
That's interesting. I guess ultimately I think most of those guys have been around long enough that they kind of get it, right? Like they kind of know what the deal is and they understand. I mean, I saw it a number of times during my career where they moved on from, like in Buffalo, they moved on from Drew Bledsoe to go with J.P. Lossman. And we were all upset about it. We were all mad about it. But you kind of also understand that it's part of the business, right or wrong. I don't think guys are looking at it that way. I think anybody that had an issue with the initial decision is probably right now just happy that Jimmy's the quarterback. They're not happy Trey got hurt.
Right.
They're not focusing on, what Kyle Shanahan's initial decision was. I think they're just happy that the organization kept Jimmy and that they had him in case of this possibility.
Ross Tucker joining us on 95.7 The Game. I don't disagree with that at all. And you said, and this is where I agree with you, you said, Kyle, that's a risk they were willing to take, meaning play Trey like they did. I think that's exactly right. If I asked you, who do you think Kyle Shanahan, deep in his heart, thinks he can go further with, Garoppolo or Lance, what do you think his truthful answer would be?
He probably would have told you this year, probably Jimmy, but that there's a ceiling there.
Right.
And over the next 5 years, absolutely Trey.
Yeah.
And I think he probably is confident enough to think that by the end of this year, they actually would have been doing some pretty darn good things.
I agree.
With Trey Lance.
Yeah.
Ross, let me ask you this, and this will be the last time I say it. I still feel like the Niners up 10 in the fourth against the Rams in the championship game should have won. They didn't. We're 2 weeks in. I'm not buying Philadelphia. Good, cute story, but still, I need to see more. But now with Jimmy back with the Niners, Ross, I'm looking at the landscape of the NFC. I don't know if Tom Brady's older or what's going on. Something seems to be a bit off. They're yet 2-0. How do you see the NFC right now and the Niners? Because as crazy as this sounds, I'm telling Steiny, I feel like it's theirs to lose.
Yeah, I would say very, very open. I'm not going to go so far as to say it's the Niners' division or conference to lose, but I will say they're absolutely in the mix. You know, I think it's the Rams, to some extent the Packers, the Bucks, of course. Bucks are probably number one. I would say if anybody's to lose, it's probably the Bucks, with the Rams up there as well. And then the Niners, the Eagles for sure. And then I guess it depends on how you feel about Minnesota, New Orleans, some of those other teams.
Ross Tucker joining us on 95.7 The Game. Ross, is there something to the 49ers' physicality in their running game? Trey Lance has got hurt. Elijah Mitchell got hurt. Now Tyrion Davis-Price is out for a few weeks. I'm telling you, you may laugh at this, but one of the reasons, and they've had running back issues with injury, I actually think it's because the 49ers running backs run harder on balance than other running backs. It feels like when they hit the line of the scrimmage, they're almost at full speed. There's no dancing back there or anything like that. Is that ludicrous?
No, I don't think so, actually, Steiny. There is no question that they tell those guys to put their foot in the ground, get north and south, make one cut, and to hit that thing hard. And there's also no doubt that I even go back to Mostert. Now, look, that's a position where guys get hurt a lot. Right? We know that. Guys get banged up at running back a lot. But it sure does feel like the Niners have more than their fair share. I don't think it's necessarily just because of the style, though. I think it's the volume. I think the Niners try and want to run the ball more than other people. So you combine that, which probably is a few more percentage possibility that they get hurt because there's more snaps, with the style, which is probably a few more percentage increase the likelihood of an injury. And I think that gets you where you are. I think that's actually an interesting observation.
Ross, I got to ask you about something that happened in a game in Cleveland, because Steiny and I, we don't even front like we played. You played. And the Browns were up 7. The Jets are out of timeouts, and Chubb has the ball and goes into the end zone to score a touchdown. They miss an extra point, and essentially he could have took a knee, and they run the clock out at the 3-yard line. My question to you is, if you're Chubb's teammate, Ross, are you mad at him after the way that game played out? You lost. And had you went down, it would have been over.
No, you know what? I'm not mad at him. I am, if anything, mad at myself or the coaches for not saying anything to him about it. They were at the 12-yard line. It was before the 2-minute warning. So he's probably thinking, well, you know what? The clock stops anyway, because there's 2:02. Now, I'm pretty mad at Kareem Hunt for the play before running out of bounds. With 2 minutes and 2 seconds left. Just go down.
Yeah, good point.
If Hunt went down, it gets to the 2-minute warning, and they're able to have that conversation, and they're able to just take a knee. But ultimately, the responsibility in my mind lays with Kevin Stefanski, the head coach. You know, the best teams have a game management coach. That's all he does. All he does is game situation, clock, you know, penalties, that kind of stuff. That person needs to be telling Stefanski, listen, got to take a knee here if we get the first down. And then Stefanski relays that to the guys on the field through likely the quarterback, Jacoby Brissett. That never happened. You know, the Browns evidently don't have that mechanism in place, and I put that on the coaching staff.
Yeah. Wow. Hey, Ross, thanks as always. Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. Love talking with you guys. Take care.